Hi everyone, welcome to Wisdom Podcast. I'm Brinda Palliyana and I'm glad you're all here. This is a space for honest conversations, curious minds, and stories that would make us pause and reflect. So whether you're here to learn, get inspired, or reflect on your own journeys and looking forward to your own journeys, then this is the space for you. And we have here with us Dr. Shiva Kazempour Dekhordi, who is a computational biologist studying cellular senescence and how it contributes to Alzheimer's disease and aging. And she is a recent graduate from Integrated Biomedical Sciences program here at UT Health San Antonio. And let us now understand and get inspired through her journey. Hi Shiva, how are you doing?
Hi Brinda, thank you. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much. It's our pleasure to have you here with us.
Thank you for having me.
So let's start at the beginning. You are from Iran, you studied in Iran, then moved to US for your PhD. How did all of these happen?
Yeah, great question, because it was quite a journey. As you mentioned, I grew up in Tehran, the capital of Iran, and when growing up, whenever people ask me, what do you want to do when you grow up? I always had two very different answers. My first answer was that I wanted to become a musician because I used to play a couple of instruments back then, and that was my passion. And my second answer was that I wanted to become a scientist, but I had a different idea of what kind of scientist I want to be. So I don't know if that's the case in the US, but back in Iran during your high school, you have different subjects like biology, chemistry, algebra, mathematics. And for these subjects, we have different teachers who come to the class and teach these subjects. And for me, I always felt that deep down, these are rooted into one coherent meaning and topic. However, during this classes, I felt like that these are separated. And it sounded so vague to me. And I wanted to be a scientist who connects these different subjects with each other in a way that we can understand the language of biology, we can understand the language of mathematics, chemistry, so on and so forth. Funny enough, I'm doing that part just a little bit right now. We get to that. So anyway, long story short, I got my undergrad in statistics and mathematics in Iran. And at the end of my studying, during my undergrad, I realized that this topic is very rigid for me and I couldn't feel really connected to it. And I wanted to make it a little more flexible in a way that I can see the impact of this statistics and mathematics that I learned at university in people's lives. So I changed my topic a little bit and I got my master in biostatistics, again in Iran. It was great because I could see the impact of it just a little bit. And I think that was the first turning point in my journey when I realized that, oh, I want to do something that I want to see the impact of it. I want to do something that's translational. That was a really important point in my life, understanding that, okay, this is what I want to do from now on. And so what I'm telling you is kind of like an interdisciplinary field that was not well established back then in Iran. So I knew that I have to apply for other university abroad to kind of try and explore my chances. And I got into US. I came to UT Health San Antonio in 2019. Actually, I got a job offer when I came here first.
That's cool.
Yeah. So I got a visiting scientist role. I was at a visiting scientist role for 2 years in Okeke lab, which is a computational, completely dry lab. And then I realized that if I really want to become a computational biologist, I know the computation side, of course, I need to know the biology side as well. So I decided to apply for the PhD program here in Integrated Biomedical Science. And you can imagine, for someone with a background of mathematics and statistics, how difficult that program was for me, because it was purely molecular biology, chemistry, neuroscience, genetics. So it was a risk for me, but right now, looking back at it, I think that decision of taking that huge risk and getting this PhD in this program basically shaped my path completely, both scientifically and personally.
What was that spark that actually pulled you into computational biology? As you said, you were in statistics and did a lot of computer work and everything. And was there any moment that you thought, okay, I actually belong here as a woman in STEM?
I think the moment that I realized that I'm really drawn to this field of computational biology was when I realized how powerful data is, especially in this era. So we generate millions of data, biological data every day, but without a proper framework and a proper pipeline, these are just noise. But if you have a proper framework, they can turn into discovery. So that was really amazing and very interesting to me to kind of explore that route. And I was really lucky to be surrounded by people who kind of pushed me into this field and not trying to fit me into a box. So my mentor, Dr. Habib Zare, who was my supervisor during my PhD, was one of them, and the other one was Dr. Miranda Orr. And Miranda one day came to us and she said, I have a question. I believe that neurons can become senescent in the brain, but the field is so against it because senescent is a topic that is only associated with not with postmitotic cells, and they don't believe that this can happen. But I think that this happens. But my traditional wet lab experiments cannot prove that. Can you help me prove this with data? And that moment has stuck with me because I realized that computational biology and the data is not just a supporting tool. We can use it to actually turn everything into discovery. I think that was a really a revolutionary point for me in my journey as well. And you asked also, when did I feel that I belong? To be honest, I don't think that this feeling of I belong here or that I belong moment was something that was purely and only because of the external validation that I got. I think watching these mentors, especially Miranda, who's also a woman in this field, also always advocating for her work, watching her, I learned that I don't need to soften my voice or narrow down my interest to kind of fit into a specific box that they define for me. Surrounding myself with these people taught me that I can have the ownership of my work and basically do the same that they're working on, because there is room for me as well.
That is so true. Like, having supportive people around makes a huge difference. And you wear many hats, like including the co-MD for Nucleate Talent chapter. How is that? How do you intentionally build spaces where women and trainees from different backgrounds feel truly welcomed and seen and supported?
I think this is a really important question that needs to be addressed in whatever space that we are working in. And I'm really intentional about this because of the experience that I also had as a woman who's working in the computational biology. This is a very male-dominated field, and I had so many experiences that maybe I need to pivot a little bit. So I'm really intentional about this, especially when it comes with Nucleate. Probably you know that we host multiple in-person events, especially at the beginning of the year, in which we invited students, explain to them who we are, and kind of encourage them to come explore. This is good for you. And all the time, I'm very intentional looking at the audience to see, okay, if there are specifically women who want to explore, but they are shy, they don't feel confident. And after the event, I always go to them and be like, hey, I'm Shiva, do you want to talk about it? Do you have anything that you want to explore? How can we help you? So what I'm trying to say is that I always try to provide a safe environment first, both if we are doing an event or if we are at our leadership meeting for Nucleate. If you provide a safe environment first, then professional aspect comes after that, because people feel that they belong to this space. Another thing that we are also very intentional, I use this word a lot because it's very important in this space, is that the people that we bring to Nucleate as well, we are very intentional about it. Our mentors, our experts, our speakers, we make sure that we have representatives from different backgrounds. Of course, not just backgrounds and genders, we also pay attention to different career stages, different lived experiences, because seeing someone who's similar to you and have the same problems and navigating these problems throughout life make you feel that, okay, belonging and being part of this space is possible, so I can get out of my shell and I can explore other opportunities available. And I think this is something that I really try, at least with my team and Nucleic in San Antonio, try to emphasize for women to get out of their comfort zone and come out and try and explore the things that we provide for them.
I know. And I can see that you're also a very strong, independent woman trying to make others also feel the same. That is really amazing. And you're also the co-founder of Virva Health. So you stepped into entrepreneurship.
Yes.
So how was that journey for you? And what's been the most unexpected, like fun or energizing part of it for you?
I'm not gonna lie, I think being a founder by itself is really fun because you develop a product and you have a full ownership over it. So it's fun, believe it or not. But being a woman founder, working in a women's health is next level. It's so fun. And you have no idea that how many conversations people do not start when it comes to women's health until you ask a question. The moment that you ask a question or you start a conversation, people lean in. They be like, okay, I have a question. Women start talking, clinicians start asking questions. So it's really fun in that way. And also working in women's health, which is a field that not so many researchers have been tapped into, makes it really exciting because we deserve better, to be honest.
No, absolutely.
And another thing is that, to be honest, for me, my personal experience is that I enjoy wearing different hats. So, for example, in the company, one day I'm working on the science and the data. Next, I'm working on branding and user experience, completely, totally different things. And I think that it gives you a creative freedom. The entrepreneurship itself, the whole space gives you a creative freedom to build what you have in mind. That I really enjoy.
That's amazing. And also, there are days where sometimes our codes won't work and our experiments fail for the third time.
Oh, yeah.
So what helps you push through, and do you have any go-to rituals that you follow?
That's a good question. Yes, I think anyone probably, if in your audience anyone is a programmer or doing coding, they can tell you that yes, there are days that you get an error and you go back to the code. No matter how much you try, you get the error again and again and again. My strategy and my number one solution is to leave.
That is so true.
Seriously, like you need to leave what you're doing and get out of the room. That is my number one rule, and I learned it throughout the years that I need to leave my desk and do something that is actually physical, because the best rest for your brain is physical activity. So, for example, if I'm at home, I go wash dishes. You have no idea how relaxing it is after you cannot debug your code. Or I do something with my hands, something that doesn't need my brain to work. I go water plants or repot, something like this, that doesn't need my brain to constantly work. And believe it or not, I think almost every time when I go back to my desk, I have the solution. And it's not just because washing dishes magically make me smarter. No, it's just because my nervous system got a chance to reset. And so I learned that not always pushing harder and harder is the solution. You need to step back sometimes, kind of reflect and give it some time.
Yeah, that's so true, because people just recently talk about, not only recently, I think people do talk about burnout and how work-life balance is important and how we need to refresh our brain when something is absolutely wrong and not working.
And I'm telling you, when you are doing something that requires your brain, you don't want to rest going to your phone and going to Instagram and explore different reels because it drains you even more. You need to do something physical with your body to get that.
That is so true. Yeah. That is so true. And I know you shared a moment where another scientist came to you and just lifted you up and your project. So can you share a moment when any other woman, even while you grow up, throughout your journey, who inspired you and like pull you up, and how that experience actually shaped the way you now think and also mentor and uplift others?
I think this is a very important experience, and throughout my life, I think my mom was always my biggest advocate of pushing me to do what I'm hoping and I'm interested in. And I think I have some examples specifically here. When I came to US, I felt that more, to be honest. I have multiple examples from women faculty here who kind of shaped the way that I am and the way that I'm mentoring others as well. Again, I want to go back to the example with Miranda. So Miranda is a phenomenal neurologist who I get a chance to be working with in the past 6 years. And one of the things that she always does is that she always gave me this freedom to be able to explore different things when it comes to research. She never put me in a box and be like, you're a student, you need to run this experiment. She never was like that. She was like, oh, you want to go to this conference? Let's explore it. And one thing that I think it was really beneficial to me was that whenever she had any, like, let's say, meetings that she would think it would be beneficial for me, she would reach out and be like, oh, I know that probably it's not related to what you're doing, but I think you would get benefit coming to this meeting. And I would go. And I know that not so many people would do that, to give this freedom to the students, especially if you're a graduate students, to explore these different things. So I think these little kind of examples and experiences working with women scientists here in the US was definitely transformative.
Absolutely. I can actually relate to that, being coming from another place to settling here. So for a young woman who is listening to you, who loves maybe science or anything, what is that practical piece of advice you would like to give?
Okay, so I think one thing that I can tell them is that you don't have to wait to be fully ready or fully perfect to start something. If you're interested in science, that's enough evidence for you to actually go and explore it. Skills can be learned. It comes after that. As long as you have the interest, it's more than enough to go through that journey. And I think I have another piece of advice as well, is that if you think or you don't know exactly what you want to do after you graduate, it's totally fine. Not all the people know what they want to do. I think that there are two different personalities. Those that know what they want to do in the next 10 years and they try hard to get there, and those like me who probably along the way they didn't know exactly what they want to do, but they figured it out as they came to this journey. So take risks and don't be afraid. It just makes you more unique.
That's so true, because it is so important for us to take risks, understand and explore different opportunities, which currently our university is probably giving us. We are getting exposed to many different opportunities here. So it's a very practical piece of advice, to be honest. So finally, to wrap up, if your STEM journey were a movie, what would it be called? And who is playing you in the lead role?
Okay, I think it would be called something like No Straight Lines, because nothing in my path has been linear, not geographically, not academically, not professionally. It has never been linear. And I think Natalie Portman, I would pick her to play my role. I'm a big fan of her. And she has this rare combination of intellectual depth and emotional range that I think would make her perfect for the role.
That's cool. Thank you so much, Shiva. It was such a pleasure and fun to have conversation with
Thank you, Brinda.
Wish you all the best for all your future endeavors. Hope to see you in Forbes under 40, 50, whatever.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations for your defense.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Brinda.
Thank you all for watching. Please follow Wisdom